able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So today's class, just I will discuss about the servlet interface. I mean, we already discussed. I will discuss a little bit more about that, and after that we'll start discussing about the generic servlet and the HTTP servlet. Along with that, we'll see how to create a project in Eclipse dynamic project. Okay, let me open that diagram. Yep. So I think you guys can able to understand me after watching this. See, this is my browser, and from my browser, I'm trying to hit some URL as like this. Okay, and up to here it is a common. Okay, this is like HTTP protocol, and localhost and 8081 is a common for all. And this one says like my project name. For example, test is my project name out here, and this is the servlet which I'm trying to call. Slash forward slash first is the one which says like which servlet I'm trying to call. Based upon this, web.xml will call the uh, related servlet. Okay, then how the things will be happening here? See, consider this whole thing as one server. Okay, either Apache server or a WebLogic or whatever it is. Consider this as one whole server. Okay, and in this whole server there were like different kinds of modules been available. Okay, different kinds of modules been available. So we are trying to work with one module, that is web container module. Okay, web container, it's also called as a servlet container or JSP container. Okay, this is called as web container module. Okay, this one module, what is the use of this module is this works with, I mean, servlet. Okay, so whenever people ask like dynamic responses kind of a thing, then they said like we need a servlets. So in the server side we need one separate kind of a person, like where he has to listen the dynamic requests, and it has to process it and send the response back to the browser. So for that they created one module, I mean, called as web container module. And the web container module is specific for the servlets. I mean, it can read the servlet and it can process the request and send the response dynamically. Okay, so here if you observe, whenever the request is coming from here to here in the network, consider from here to here it is a network, normal network. Okay, it is coming as a normal HTTP request. Means on the day, I mean, last couple of days back I shown you like how the HTTP request looks like. It is having the number of headers, blank line, body. You remember request, all those things are present. And after this, when it reaches to the server is going to convert this request format into one object kind of a format. Okay, and this object is sent.
Simon,
Yep. Yeah, Vijay.
yeah, HTTP request is something like a text file.
Up to here, I mean, when it is traveling, not like a text file, it is a kind of a data, text data.
Text data.
I
Okay.
mean, do you remember that I shown you four layers, right?
Yeah, we have like a
Request
header,
line,
request line, yeah,
headers, yeah, blank line,
body.
then yeah, body, request body, all those things. So when it is traveling up to here in the network, it will be like that only. Okay, when it reaches to
Okay.
the server is going to convert it as a request object.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that request object is given to the web container. Now it's a web container's duty to create both the objects, request object and response object. So web container is the one which is going to create both the objects and give it to the thread of a servlet. I mean, it won't give directly to the servlet. From the servlet is going to um, for the particular request is going to create a separate thread. For this thread, it is going to give the request and response. So this is the thread which makes to interact with the particular service method, and which it is process and give the response back to the here. Up to here, it will come as an object only. From here to here, it is coming as object only. And then once it is out of the server, it will be get converted as HTTP response. Means response line, and then headers, and then blank line, and then body. Like in that format, it will be converted. So when it reaches to
Mhm.
the client system, yes, it will display as it is whatever the response sent from the server.
Okay.
You guys got an idea, right? Yep. See, just this is one example of web container. There will be like multiple containers will be available in a servers. Okay, for example, EZB container, which maintains the transaction kind of a logic. Okay, and connection poolings or directory server, like different kinds of modules been available. This is one module. Web container is just one module in a whole server. Okay, web container is the one which can understand our servlets. How it can understand? Whenever we provide the implementation for that particular servlet interface, directly or indirectly, then it can able to understand, yes, this is a servlet, so that it can able to start work with init method and then service method. Okay, so what are the life cycles method present in this one? Init, service,
Service,
and then destroy.
destroy.
Actually, to speak, total 5 methods are there. If you say servlet lifecycle methods, then it will be only these three methods: init, service, and destroy. Okay, init is the one which will execute only once in its lifetime of a servlet. Okay, that is for the first time, and it is depending upon you how you want to make it be executed. It will be executed depending upon like first request. I mean, whenever the person from the browser, if you hit some URL with that first request, it will get executed either, or other way in web.xml, if you kept the load on startup for the particular servlet, then at the time of starting the server itself, the init method will be get executed. Okay, there are two ways. Depending upon our requirement, we are going to choose accordingly. And then second one is service method. So service method is the one which can able to accept the request as well as the response objects as a parameters. Let me try to open this. See here, for example, consider this service method. Service method is having the two parameters here. One is the servlet request and another one the servlet response. Remember, servlet request and servlet response, these two are also the interfaces. Okay, then how these objects are coming? Who is giving these objects? Web container. Web container is creating the request and response objects for you and giving it to this particular servlet. Okay, so after that we are going to use these request and response objects to process our requests. Okay, and then finally the destroy method. So destroy method, there are two ways are there. We can able to manually call the destroy method of a particular servlet, but this is not an acceptable. I mean, uh, it's not recommended one. We should call, we should not call, I mean, destroy method manually. See, web container is the one. It's their duty. Whenever if you're trying to undeploy the application from the server, that time, so web container is the one which is going to call the destroy method internally. Okay, so we should never call the destroy method. So because I mean it is going to cause a big problem whenever we call the destroy method manually. Okay, so it's duty of the web container, it will do it. Okay, and other two methods are there, get servlet info and get servlet config. Those are not a lifecycle methods, but there were like those are like normal methods where we can use in the later classes. Okay, so we come across three interfaces. Now let us see what are those. Servlet interface, and then servlet request, and then servlet response. So these are the three interfaces that we come across till now. Okay, so servlet is an interface like where which is having the five methods, important five methods, and these servlet request and servlet response objects are being created by the web container and give it to the service method. Okay, now just forget about these two. Let us see the implemented class of a servlet interface. Okay, by default they provided one implemented class for this servlet interface, that is generic servlet. Okay, which actually implements servlet interface. Okay, this generic servlet is the one which provides the implementation for all the classes. As because see, for example, whenever we are trying to implement any interface, then we should compulsorily implement all the methods of an interface. That is the thumb rule, right? But for example, consider as a case, in the servlet interface we are having total five methods. So in those five methods, if I don't want to implement one method and if I want to implement only the four methods, if that is the case, then is it possible for me to provide the implementation like this? I mean, is it possible for me with this generic servlet?
Yes. Yeah, it's possible with generic servlet.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Actually, they have given for you for example, destroy method. Yes, we can able to call it. In some situations, will be there like where things are going out of the control. At that time, they're going to call the destroy method. But actually, to speak for the developers, we use it to say, please never call. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
as we are not much experienced. I mean, generally in the architect level, they knows like in which level we need to call this kind of a destroy methods. So as we are the basic developers, we should people recommend says like we should not use like that. They provided, I mean, we can able to call it, but we should not.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. um See, yeah, tell me, Vijay, how, tell me, is it possible? For example, select interface is having the 5 methods, right? But in the generic servlet, I want to implement only the 4 methods. I want to ignore the one method. Is it possible for me with this generic servlet?
No, if you use
No,
generic servlet and you can implement. Oh, you need to extend generic servlet.
Okay, I mean, okay, extending, forget about it right now. For example, in this case
but
right now,
if we are implementing from the concept of inheritance, we have to implement all the methods.
do you have any alternative way to ignore any method?
We don't write anything inside the body.
Yes, exactly. Say, generally two kinds of methods will be available, right? One is the abstract method, another is a concrete method. Okay, abstract method is the one which is not having any body. Okay,
Yeah.
concrete method is the one which is having the whole body.
Mhm.
Okay, consider as a case, is it possible for me to merge both in a class? I mean, is it possible for me to
Uh,
have both in a class?
Abstract.
Yes,
yeah,
super, exactly.
but you
So
have to say abstract.
hmm, if I made this class as an abstract, if I made this class an abstract, then it is possible for me. So that's what they did. So they provide the implementation for the init method, and then destroy method, get servlet config method, and get servlet info method. They provide the implementation for all these 4 methods, I mean, as a concrete classes, and they made the service method as an abstract method. Okay, they made the service method as an abstract method. So there is a reason behind why they made it as like that, because okay, we'll see in the next classes why, what is the reason behind they made it as like that. Let us see one simple example with this generic servlet first. Okay, let me try to take, I'm trying to create one web application from here, new, other, and I'm trying to select dynamic web project under the web folder. The project name is servlet, and here, okay, nothing is there to select, just click on finish. Yep. Now my project, a dynamic web project, is created. So Java resources, it is nothing but which is having all the source files under this, and then something happened, let me check. Yeah, now see here. So my dynamic web project is created as like this. So important things that I need to remember are, one is the source folder, okay, another one is the build folder, and then web content folder. See, inside the web content we are having the webinf. Under webinf we are having the lib file. So prerequisites to do for this are, first we need to add the servlet -api to the class path or to the build path. Let me check the location where I kept. Huh. My voice is audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
just lost a connection. Okay, now see, under the C I kept this servlet-api.jar. Just I'm trying to add this to the build path. Okay, now first I have created one dynamic web project, and then second step, right click on it, properties, try to look for the Java build path. Okay, by default it has added some jar files. Now as I need to add one extra jar file, so add external jars. Okay, go to the C directory and search for your jar file. Servlet-api is the one which you are going to work with the servlets, right? So let me try to add to the build path. Yes, now I have added this to the build path. Now click on OK. So this is the second step we need to do. Okay, and then third step that we need to do here, under the web content we are having the meta-inf. Just ignore it, no, not required right now. So important thing is like web-inf, so which is the kind of a secure folder. And this one only we are going to put the lib file, and along with that web.xml file, nothing but it's also called as a deployment descriptor. Okay, web.xml is also called a deployment descriptor. So let me try to copy that web.xml also. Yes, have pasted it here, and let me try to delete existing code if we have any, make it plain. Okay. um do you guys need to know about this information also?
Yeah, it's good
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be explained to us. Sometimes
Actually,
it just becomes necessary.
actually, okay, I don't know whether okay, I will explain that. Please try to understand this. So
Okay.
this is a kind of a format whenever you're trying to prepare an XML file. Okay, in general XML file, not forget about the web.xml, in general XML file, how it looks like. Okay, what is this XMLNS? It is nothing but a schema name. For example, um, if we have any XML file you're trying to create, I mean, for example, HTML file is nothing but which is having the tags like HTML, body, form, all these tags will be there, right? For paragraphs P, okay, for bold B, like that, different kinds of tags been available. If we use those accordingly, it will get affected in the browser for the HTML case,
Mhm.
right? And those are like, predefined, and we should compulsorily use to make it an effect. But here
Yeah.
XML is not such a kind. XML is a kind like it's like, whoever the person preparing the XML file, he can able to take the decision and he can able to create his own tags. Okay, there is no
Oh,
rule to say
okay.
like you should compulsory use. Consider as a case, I'm using my own tags. Okay, I'm trying to use my own tags, and for example, I'm an X person. I'm using some tags. Okay, in my code. Okay, for example, something like this. Okay, consider as a case, for example, at here I'm having some tags like some book, and book is having the author and price and its edition of the current book. Okay, so this is kind of an information. This is my own. Okay, this is my own information. This is not like specific to the world, just like an HTMLs. Okay, consider if I'm trying to send this data in a network, what happens is like maybe the other person got a same kind of an idea, like book, author, price, and edition. He can also be used the same kind of a tags. Then what happens?
Okay.
This is not a correct, right? So for that, what you are
Yeah.
going to do? We are going to put the XML This is a kind of an address where I defined all my tags like book, author, price, edition, all these is defined in this particular address.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever I'm trying to use, it is going to cross verify in the particular address, and then it is going to send to the net in the network. In case suddenly, consider as an example, in case if another person other XML file came or some other XML file also came, it never get confused as because it will cross verify everything in particular address. Okay, and second way that we can able to use XML the reason behind is, see, if you observe, there is an XML colon XSI is there, right? So XSI is nothing but this will be like this. Like this. Consider if you example here, these three tags, okay, these three tags will be cross verified under this location. Okay, these three tags, I mean all these, whichever having the XSI, right? Whichever the tags are having XSI colon something is there, right? It will be cross verified under this location. Okay, and whichever the tag which is not having the XSI, right? It will be verified. This is called as a global location. Okay, which is not having any colon something value if we didn't give just if I have an XML then this is kind of a global declaration. Okay, so here I'm not having any XSI like that, right? So it will be verified at here in this location. Okay, and nowadays people are using the XMLNS and along with XMLNS XSI also. XSI we may not be using, but internally it is going to use the XSI format at the time of like parsing kind of a information. So we may not be required, just as an understanding. Okay, these three tags will be verified under this. Just remember like that, and which one is not? This one is verified under this.
Yeah, if we have XSI has a additional tag other than the XMLNS.
XML additional tag. Yes, some specific, for example, we're having some specific tags in the same XML file, then that is the case. Not only XSI, for example, I can create another one also. Yeah, like this, for example, something called XNI, like that. It's your wish, whatever the name that you choose. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, XSI is specific for this particular case, but just forget about it. Ignore it as like same common some name like that. Okay. So I can give
Okay.
any name. For example, I can give XNI for these two tags only.
Something like global and local variables.
Exactly. See, so this tag will be checked under this, okay, and this tag will be checked under XSI, and
Okay.
the tag which is not having any will be verified under common
Global.
XML/NS. Okay,
Okay.
got an idea? Next, XSI schema location. So what is the schema location? Schema location, it is nothing but one XSD file. Okay, one XSD file. Let me try to open this. In a browser. I don't know whether we have the permissions or not. Let me try. So XSD is the kind of a declaration. where we are going to do the cross verification of our tags. I mean, at the time of validation. See here, if you observe clearly, see web-inf tag is present here. Okay, whenever you send this particular data to the next person, they're going to do the validation of this XML file. For example, consider as a case here. This is the, I mean, it is having some specific tags internally, right? For example, let me try to put as like this. Okay, so consider here, these are the three tags which are defined in this particular XSD file. Okay, for example, these are the tags which are been defined in this XSD file. Consider these are my own tags. I have included these external tags, my own tags, and I sent in a network. Okay, in the network, I'm after reaching the server is the one which is going to do the parsing, means convert this XML file into accordingly how it can understand. At the time of doing the parsing, it is going to cross verify these tags in the XSD file. Okay, one XSD file, one text file will be there like this. Okay, in this text file, with this text file, it is going to cross verify these tags. Whenever it comes across some external tags as like this, the parsing will get failed and says like validation get failed, some other tags got included. Okay, these are not the tags I have provided. These are the extra tags which provided by some developer, XYZ developer. So in order to, I mean, for example, consider in a network, XMLs are generally for the purpose of sending the information in network. Okay, from one place to another place, we use it to pass the information by using the XML files. Consider as a case, when I'm sending my own information, um, an intruder added some extra information in this particular XML file and sent to the server. Okay, what happens in general if it got executed? Some unknown thing may happen in the server, right? If we want to stop such kind of things, what we are going to do, we are going to do the validation. How you are going to do the validation? By using XSD file. Okay, in the XSD file, we are going to put some rules, how the tags should be there, how tags should follow the rules. Okay, first, servlet tag. Under this servlet tag only, servlet name and servlet class tag should be there. Like that, such kind of rules will be kept under this XSD file. Okay, it is going to do the cross verification of the tags. Consider example, I'm here, I'm giving some xni colon book, some kind of a tag here. When it trying to parse that time, this kind of information is not present under the XSD file, so validation will get failed. So it never parses and it never uses, it just skip that particular step. Okay, got an idea what is the XML file in general? So why we are using the XMLNS, XMLNS XSI?
Yeah, kind of.
Yep, great.
Yeah, but about the XSI, you said that can be any other word.
It can be any other word. See, by default,
But in the XSD file, text file that you open it,
mhm.
it's saying XSI. So that's just as a sample there.
Yeah.
Somewhere it says XSI.
This one you're saying, right?
Line 68, yeah.
Again, this one is going to cross verify with the W3 location schema instance, okay, internally. XSD file again is going to interact with the another XSD file, okay. It will be like that only.
Okay.
Whatever the tags I'm using it here, it has to do the validation, or it has to get from other location. Again, they will do such kind of a, like, inheritance kind of a concept in XML files, okay. One XML file is inheriting
Okay.
from other XML file, and that one is inheriting from other XML file. How it is going to do means, it is going to by using some URL. In the particular URL, it is going to have some tags. It will do like that,
Okay.
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 Let me try to delete these. See here, whenever I'm trying to give something, it's prompting me which one. I mean, it's going to trying to open another small pop-up and it's going like, which one you are looking for. For example, yes, I'm looking for servlet. And that this servlet again, it will prompt me which one you are going to use for. For example, if I give some S word, it is going to say yes. With yes, we have three names: servlet name, servlet class, security role. Yes, I want servlet name. How these are coming? Hmm? Because of this address,
Global.
XMLNS address. Okay, from this address, it is going to pick up all the names, and you should be present in a network in general. Okay, for the first time, you should be present in the network so that it will download. It will put in a cache. Okay, second time onwards, it won't be required.
Mhm.
Okay, how these, I mean, for example, I shown you right how these will be coming in general will be like this. Select mapping, how these are coming by default. So it is going to access the same thing from this XMLNS address. Okay, from here it is going to download all those tags information. Try to, okay, let me do it as like this. Let me try to remove. Still these are working. How?
Cache.
Exactly. Exactly. So for the first time, you should be present in a network. Okay, then only it will can download. Second time onwards, if it is present in a cache, it will help you to use the tags which are be present from the cache.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, that's kind of a validation. Forget about it. And now let us try to create one simple. But I will remove these. Not required now. So whenever I'm trying to create any new Java files, then what should I do? Under the Java resources, there will be a source folder. Here we need to create one package. Okay, so let me try to create one package first. Com dot Durga. Now it got created. Under the package, now we are going to create some class files. Okay, so generic servlet example. Click on finish. So in this class, we are trying to learn something about the generic servlet, right? So generic servlet is an abstract class, right? Generic servlet is an abstract class which provides the implementation for the servlet interface. Okay. Now, as all the four methods are being provided by the generic servlet, I mean, let me try to provide. It is a class, so I have to put extends. As this is an abstract class in general, it is going to prompt me say like you should provide the implementation for abstract methods. Service is the only method which requires the implementation. Now we got all of them. There were no errors now. If you observe clearly at here, see, I'm trying to import See, in Eclipse, if you are trying to import any class, then Control plus Shift plus O is the option. Okay, Control plus Shift plus O. Consider these are not got imported. Okay, I want to import these, so that's the reason these are throwing errors. Select response is cannot be resolved as a type. How it is, like, means it requires import, right? Instead of manually entering in Eclipse, there is a shortcut, that is Control plus Shift plus O, so it will download all. Okay, so imports will be
Okay.
coming. Now here you can provide whatever.
So you will get from the jar file in control plus shift
Exactly,
plus O.
exactly. Servlet hyphen API.jar file. Okay, let us do one thing. Okay, let me try to remove the references of that one. Let me try to remove this. Okay, see what is happening now.
Errors, yeah, it's getting errors.
I'm unable to resolve what is
Okay.
this. Okay, so that's the reason we should add servlet hyphen API.jar file.
Okay.
If you are working with the Eclipse, okay, this is called as a build path, right? Java build path. For the Java build path, you should add it. Okay, if you are working with an
Yeah.
Eclipse. Okay, whenever you're working manually, I mean by using command prompts and all, then what you need to do, you need to set the class path. Okay,
In real time, do we use the command prompt?
no. Good question. Okay, I will tell, just give me a minute. Okay, set class path is equal to whichever the location that you're trying to use that. See, for example, copy this location, whole jar file, paste here, put with semicolon, enter. So this is the way that we need to set the class path. Then only it will be get compiled. Otherwise, it never get compiled. Okay. If you're trying to work manually, I mean, last class we have learned, right, one manual servlet. I mean, I have written in a notepad and then trying to compile by using command prompt. In those cases, we should compulsorily set the class path. Okay. And if you're trying to work with Eclipse, then you should compulsorily add to the build path. Okay. You should compulsorily add to the Java build path. Next, as you said.
But if we add it to the
Mhm.
build path, we don't need to. I'm guessing we don't need to set it in the command prompt.
No, not required. That's what I'm saying. Whenever you're trying to work manually, I mean, without using Eclipse, if you're not using the Eclipse, then you should compulsorily
Oh,
set the
okay.
class path. If you're using Eclipse, set the build path.
Okay,
Okay.
I understand.
Okay, great. And Vijay, you said, right, like, are we going to set the paths in the server command in the command prompt? No.
Yeah. Right.
So there, what you are going to do? Come here, copy this. Okay. Come to the web INF. There is a lib directory. Under the lib directory, paste this. Okay. In the JVM, generally, I mean, at the time of running the project, it will look for the jar files under the lib directory. Okay. Just to compile the program only, we are trying to add it to the build path. Okay. Once the compilation is done, if you prepared some var file and you're trying to deploy that var file into a server, that time that particular jar file should compulsorily present under lib directory. Otherwise, it won't work.
So if I remove in the build path and I add it here, it won't compile.
Let us try. Make a try. Is it working or not?
Working.
So we can.
Okay. So I
Okay.
have one question. Like, let's
Yes,
say
please.
I'm using Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't set the class path from build path. Or I mean, what jar in the build path.
Okay.
So I can set in through command prompt also, right?
No. I mean, through command prompt means the scope will be very less. So you can do one thing. You can set in the permanent path, that is environment variables. Okay, through
Okay, okay,
through environment variables, if you set the class path, then it will be valid.
okay, yeah.
Okay, and if you're setting in a command prompt, no, it is not a valid because the scope is up to the particular
Only
command
to
prompt.
close the, yeah, correct.
Okay, that's the
And
reason.
I have one more question.
Yes.
What is the difference between WebINF and MetaINF?
Okay. WebINF is the one which provided, I mean, whenever you're trying to create some dynamic web projects in Java, they provided one structure for us, how the project should looks like. Okay. In the structure,
Mhm.
they said like we should have a WebINF folder. Under the WebINF folder only, please try to place the library folder and then web.xml files. Okay, these are the some secure ones. Along with that, whenever I mean at the time of compilation, I mean nothing but at the time of preparing the var file, try to place the .class files also under the web.inf folder. So this is kind of a secure folder. Okay, which I mean which the server can able to provide more and more secure than outside files. Okay, outside the
Dot
web.inf
class
also,
files?
yes, .class files also we're going to place under this web.inf only.
Dot class file, nothing but jar files, right?
No. .class files after the compilation, .java will be get converted to .class file, right? Bytecode.
Right. Yeah, correct.
Okay, what we are going to do?
But jar, yeah, jar file also contains the same dot class files, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Jar files also contains the .class files only. You're correct, but those .class files are related to the particular jar. Okay. We'll do one thing. After this, we'll prepare one var file and we'll see. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And then see what is this meta-nf. Meta-nf is nothing but it is a kind of an information about this particular project. Okay, so meta-nf is going to have some manifest mf file which is going to have the information of this particular project. I mean, what is the class path I have set, or what is the version of this project at the time of preparing. Okay, all this just information about this particular project will be kept
So
under the
it
meta-nf.
won't be useful, right? That
No, no,
much
no, no, no useful.
folder.
If you delete also, nothing will happen.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so now,
Like if you want to keep some notes, we can keep there, right?
exactly.
Okay, got it.
Those preferences, I had some doubt. Let me check. Okay, forget about it. So now I'm trying to write the generic servlet. In generic servlet, I mean, for example, if you're trying to prepare such, you should provide the implementation for the generic servlet apps. I mean, this abstract class. So in this one, we're having only abstract method, one abstract method, that is service method only. So that is the only method I have implemented. And so now, okay, in order to call this from the UI, what should we need to do? We should go to the web.xml and we need to add the path, right? First, servlet name. Under the servlet tags, we should add the servlet name, that is com.durga.generic servlet. Sorry, this is not a servlet name, right? Sorry, servlet class. Under this servlet class only, we should add this. So servlet name, we can give any. Okay. Gen something, gen generic servlet like that. Okay, and then we have to add the mapping also for this one. Okay, servlet mapping, same servlet name is the common, we should give the same name as it is, gen, and then URL pattern I am giving it as slash generic. Okay, so after the project name in the, for example, in the URL after the project name, if we got any path like this, I mean forward slash generic, then use this name, try to figure out the servlet name in the under the servlet tags, and by using this figure out the generic servlet, I mean whichever the servlet you are looking for. Okay, this is how the structure now.
Hi, Mani.
Yes, please, Vijay.
I have a question here. Again, the same question that I asked
Yep.
last time. The URL pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the URL pattern you are using for the abstracting our class name, right? Like hiding our
Exactly,
class name,
yes,
exact class name.
exactly. Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's say we are using the URL pattern as generic, and in the servlet name again we are putting gen. Again, we are having a servlet name gen. Under that, we are putting the class name. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So my question is here. Let's say we can have like this, right? URL pattern generic. In the servlet name, you can put the com.durga. Again, we don't need another extra tag.
Come again, come again.
No, no.
Can we still once
Uh,
again?
yeah, we can set as URL pattern as generic.
I mean, you
Okay.
are asking like, put as like this, copy this
Yeah.
and place it here.
Copy in the generic name. Yeah.
See,
Why do we? Why
these
we
are the
need
predefined
extra?
rules. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. These are the predefined rules which are been declared under here. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
However,
Reduced
they have
and
given, we should use accordingly. If we want, that's the reason behind why they implemented the XMLNS.
you
Okay.
cannot use your own tags
Your own tags along with that, your own pattern. You should not use like
pattern.
that.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, they said like whatever the pattern I have given, you should use accordingly. Then only I can able to understand. Otherwise, I cannot, because I have written the code like that to understand. Okay, so
Okay.
that's the reason. Whatever the pattern they have given, we should compulsorily use.
Yeah.
Internally,
That's
how these things will happen. These are kind of the hash maps, key value pairs.
okay.
Okay, first this is going to consider as a key,
Mm-hmm.
and this is as a value.
Okay.
Okay, first we will get the key from where? From the URL.
URL.
1 second. Okay, so first we'll get the key name. From the key name we can easily find the value. Okay, now
Yeah.
again this is going to try to search for the key name under this.
Mm-hmm.
If we got
Yeah.
the key
Correct.
name by using this, I mean it is going to match up with, okay, this value is match up with the key name if in another hash map.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when it got this key name by using this, you can able to figure out the value. This is
Yeah.
kind of a key value kind of a pair. These are the two different hash maps. This is one
Yeah.
hash map object and this is another hash map object.
Yeah. If they might have implemented like directly putting like in the URL in the mapping itself, we just give URL name and we
Mhm.
can provide the class name. That would be like no, just my
It's straightforward you're saying.
yeah. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
We don't know exactly like in which scenario they implemented all these things, and maybe for security reasons or some other things they implement as like this. So we should follow accordingly.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, great.
I have a question too.
Yes, Yari.
In this servlet mapping,
Mm-hmm.
the name
Mm-hmm.
generic,
Mm-hmm.
are they reserved words or we can give any name for the gen or for the slash generic?
We can give any name. There will be no
Okay,
specific. Okay.
okay, the gen we have brought it from the servlet name from the
Not
above.
like so. For example, consider I will use something called first. Here I will use something called first. See, it has to match whatever the servlet name you have given. It should match with this. Okay, that is the only thing that you need to remember. Okay, name your wish. It's a kind of an identifier name. Okay, there will be no specific to say like you should compulsorily use as like this. Just depends upon you how it relates to your project. Accordingly, you can able to give the name.
Okay, how about the URL pattern name?
Yeah, your wish also. It's
This
also your
last.
wish. For example, you can give something called um, example, something or one. Just an identifier name. That's it.
Okay.
Just an identifier name. There is no specific
Okay.
rule to say like it should compulsorily be like this, like that. Okay.
Okay.
Now let me try to see. From here we can able to run directly into a server. Okay. Right click on it. Run as. Okay. Run on server. There's an option will be available. Okay. By default. Okay, here actually I have added this server because my version is 8.0 version, right? Let me try to remove if possible. See here, when first time when you comes, it will come and ask like which server that you're trying to do. Okay, um, when we select the server, that time it is going to we should give the Catalina home location. Okay, nothing but here. Okay, this is called as Catalina home, right? First time whenever you're trying to work, okay, first time at the time of adding the server, it is going to ask for the Catalina home address. Okay, when you're given the Catalina home address, then yes, it will get selected. Click on next, then finish. Okay, click on finish. Okay, what is this? Yeah, it is now deploying. So from here we guys were aware, right? Up to here, HTTP localhost 8001, and then this is the servlet is our project name, and then what is our URL now? I mean
URL
URL pattern
Was
URL pattern one.
one, right? Let us try to give the one. So nothing happened, but see here I kept the sys outside, right? System.out.println, that's why it's printing in a console. So see here what it is printing, generic servlet
Generic
service
servlet.
method. So service method is getting executed at here. In generic servlet, I didn't provide the implementation for all the 5 methods. I have provided the implementation for only one method, that is service method only.
Did that executed init method?
Yes, internally it is going to execute the init method. It's a duty of the web container. It is going to check for the init method. Okay,
Okay.
okay, I will explain you how it looks. First, it tries to look for the init method under this class, generic servlet ex example class. Okay, do you
Mm-hmm.
have any init method at here?
No.
We don't have any, right? Now it will go and look for this under this generic servlet. Let me try to open. Hmm, it is not getting open. Okay, it in under the generic servlet there is an init method which provide already implementation, right? So that particular init method will be get executed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then it is going to
mhm.
execute the service method. So what happened actually here is like they were trying to reduce the job of a developer. Okay, If your project is specific, I mean, if your project is looking for init method, then provide the implementation for the init method also here. Okay, if your project is not looking for an init method, only the service method is more than good enough, then provide only the service method. No need to provide the implementation for init method. For init method, yes, I will look under the generic servlet. I don't have any problem. Like that, it will say. Okay, let us try to see. See here, if you observe init method, this is what init with parameter select config. Okay, and then service method, this is an abstract under the generic select I'm trying to show you. Okay, and then destroy method, and then get servlet config and get servlet info. These are the methods which provide the implementation. Okay, and along with that, it has provided the implementation for some other methods also. Yes, it can able to see by default what whenever you're trying to implement any interface, you should compulsorily provide the implementation for all those methods from that interface. Along with that, you can able to provide your own methods also. There will be no objection. So that's what it is doing. The generic servlet is doing. It has provided the implementation for gets in parameter and get init parameter names. Okay, get select context, and then init parameter with zero parameters. I mean, there will be no uh, parameters here, just zero parameters with init method. I will explain you all these about these methods in the coming classes depending upon the situation. Okay, I mean, in what situation these are really been helpful for us. Yes, these are really been helpful for us. Get init parameter, yes, we are going to use, and get select context, get select info. Okay, all these are coming classes. We are going to see, like, how these are going to play in our project. Okay, how generic servlet solved many of our problems.
Okay.
Okay, any more doubts for today's class?